I'm about to expose this man as a fraud, a coward, controlled opposition, and believe you me, I may cop a lot of backlash, and this is a very difficult thing for me to do, but it is my belief that, ladies and gentlemen, that Nigel Farage, the leader of the Brexit Party, the former leader of UKIP, and the supposed crusader of the United Kingdom for the past 25 years plus, is a fraud. Think about it. What's the best way to control a population that has become extremely skeptical of unelected bureaucratic bodies such as the EU, the UN, the CFR, the Bilderberg Group, and many others for the past 30 years or so? The best way to control the people is a distraction via controlled opposition. It is my belief that Nigel Farage has been controlled opposition for the EU. I'll give you why I believe this is the case, and I'll give you recent examples. For example, Nigel Farage, who has supposedly fought against the EU and the British establishment for the past 25 years plus, as soon as the Brexit vote passes, at the most important time in British history, when there's going to be the biggest rebellion possible from former prime ministers, from other Remain politicians, from brainwashed citizens, he says to himself, righto, I've done my job, I'm going to retire now, right when the most difficult part is about to begin. He retires. Then he gets to distract the people by going on his radio show and complaining, I would have done this, and I would have done that, and I would have done this, and I would have done a clean break Brexit, and how dare they stay in the customs union, and how dare we don't get back our territorial fishing waters. And he gets to distract people by pretending he's on their side when he's really not. And as part of this plan, he starts up the Brexit Party, which gains massive popularity right from the get-go. It gets thousands of members, millions of dollars donated to it, and he says, he's going to select 600 possible candidates across the country of the UK and going to demand a clean break Brexit, and if Boris Johnson doesn't agree to a clean break Brexit, there's going to be a political uprising and blah, 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 and rah, 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 you name it, I'm coming after you all. Then he says he's not going to stand, and as soon as he says he's not going to stand, the Brexit Party goes from a popularity of, in some polls, of 20 to 30% to 6%, because he is the party, he is the brand, he is the figurehead. And as soon as he goes, then the Brexit Party goes. And as well as that, he said, I'm not going to join the Tories in a coalition unless we get a clean break Brexit. And I refuse to join a coalition, and I'll be standing against Conservatives and all their seats. You know, the bullshit he was crapping on about, which I knew was bullshit, right? Then he completely, no conditions whatsoever, signs a non-aggression pact with the Tories, which ensures the UK population don't get a real Brexit, which ensures they tied up in Brexit EU negotiations for another 3 years. And even worse than this, ladies and gentlemen, in the deal, they don't get to engage in a free trade agreement with the EU unless there's almost completely regulatory reliant in taxation, in language laws, in immigration, in everything. You name it. So It's not Brexit at all. It's another EU treaty, which is even worse than being in the EU because they get bent over and rammed up the you know what. And for the privilege, they pay millions of dollars to get out of it and they don't get any EU voting rights. So what's the point? Nigel Farage was just a distraction to distract everybody from the real treachery that was afoot. Controlled opposition is the most powerful weapon that the deep state can have. Because if you can convince people that you're a wolf against the establishment when you're really just an establishment sheep and you can convince millions of people that you're not, it's a devastating and powerful weapon. Nigel Farage is a fraud, a coward, and an establishment patsy. That is all.